After a fantastic victory with only 10 men in the Europa League last night and a huge trip to Old Trafford on Sunday, Tottenham captain Son Heung-min has given a great interview about the amazing potential of some of his young teammates. Meanwhile, I'll be bringing you the latest transfer tittle-tattle, including Tottenham going for number 6, Manchester City trying to replace Rodri, and Everton sounding out potential new bosses. All this and more on today's episode of Premier League Transfer News. Guys, thank you so much for watching and for listening. Please do press that like button. Please subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, I bring you daily Tottenham Hotspur news and Premier League transfer news. Just press the little button in the bottom right hand corner which has a pretty bad cartoon picture of my face on it, and that should allow you to subscribe pretty easily. And you can become a member too, only £1 a month. All the details in the description box below. But let's get going, starting of course with last night's victory over Qarabağ in the Europa League. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Fun game to watch, end to end, 100 miles an hour, zipping back and forth. Qarabağ should probably have scored about 4 goals. Tottenham, more clinical, did score 3. And as I said in my post-match reaction video last night, I think really showing Arsenal how you can play with 10 men and still be aggressive and attacking. Granted, Qarabağ are not Manchester City. I do understand that. However, we're talking about an experienced European team who took Bayer Leverkusen unbeaten all last season to the very last minute of their two-legged last 16 tie in the Europa League. So no mugs, it's safe to say. But Ange Postecoglou did not care, kept Spurs on the front foot and scored 3 good goals. One of the worries, of course, was that our skipper, Son Heung-min, did go off with what looked like a bit of an injury. He actually was grabbing his hamstring in the first half and then had a shot in the second half which led to Solanke's goal on the rebound, and he then he went down again, looked a little bit tight. Ange Postecoglou said after the game on that, he said he was a bit tired, but I haven't spoken to him or the medical staff yet. I've seen a couple of different reports. One that says that Ange Postecoglou said that he looked a bit tired, and the other saying that he looked a bit tight. Either way, I'd have to say at this point, maybe Sonny is a bit of a doubt for Sunday's game at Old Trafford. If Sonny wasn't available to start that, who are you playing on the left-hand side? Let me know in the comments box below. Is Timo Werner going to get his chance? It was certainly his first chance since that debacle of a Coventry performance. And I'll say that about the team, but also I thought Werner in particular, and I don't like going in on players, but I thought in particular he looked devoid of confidence, and I'm not sure really whether he would be my natural choice to start on the left. What are the options there really? I guess you can put Brennan Johnson on the left, although he's doing so well on the right at the moment, and then move Kulusveski to the right and bring Pape Matar in alongside James Maddison, which might be something that Postecoglou had been tempted to tinker with anyway because of going to Old Trafford. He might have been tempted to bring a bit more legs and engine into that central midfield rather than playing the 2 8s/10s of Maddison and Kulusevski. But let me know what you think in the comments box below. I got a text from my best friend Ben, actually, who's a big Spurs fan, this morning, saying how important it was for momentum that we've won 3 in a row now. And then he also wrote, incoming 1-0 defeat against a disappointing Manchester United, as if that's pretty inevitable. And actually, I kind of agree, I'm afraid to say. We never do that great at Old Trafford, other than obviously the 6-2 and then a 3-0 a few years before. But it seems like Manchester United often don't really play that well against us, but find a way to get a result at the Theatre of Dreams. Theatre of Streams, I think, is what we now call it, don't we? Because of all the leaks in the roof. Want to talk a little bit about Archie Gray's performance last night. Certainly his best performance in a Spurs shirt. Still playing in that kind of, not an uncomfortable position for him at right back, because he played for right back for Leeds for a lot of last season. But I think he will turn out to be a natural, more of a natural number 6 or box-to-box midfielder. But I thought he did great last night. He kind of grew into the game. Very, very composed on the ball, cultured on the ball, and then just a few nice little kind of tricks and flicks, especially with trying to build up that partnership with Kulusevski in the second half on the right-hand side. And for such a young kid, very exciting talent. His stats from last night were 2 chances created, 7 passes into the final third, 2 out of 2 tackles won, 1 shot blocked, 2 clearances, 9 ball recoveries, and not a single foul committed. He also showed me that he's a very talented crosser of the ball, which I hadn't really got to see yet for Spurs. Put a really good cross in that Sonny really should have been coming in on at the back stick. I think Postecoglou will have been disappointed that Sonny didn't kind of break his back to make it the back stick there, because I think he would have scored had he done so. So pleased with Archie Gray. Let me know what you thought of him in the comments section below. Haven't done a video, a kind of news video, since the Carabao Cup draw from a couple of nights ago. Obviously, I'm sure you know, but Spurs will host Manchester City in round 4 of that tournament. That is our reward for somehow finding a way past Coventry. Pep Guardiola has come out and said that he will play his second string team, or players that haven't had many minutes in this competition. He kind of always does that anyway, but let's face it, down the years, Tottenham have found numerous ways to lose against teams who play their second string. And I fear, this is me being a Spurs fan, but I fear the same may be the case. Manchester City have won that tournament so often just playing their reserves all the way through it. And they'll come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and do, I think, what they did in the FA Cup last season, which is really kind of just try to nullify our threat and maybe score from a set piece. But maybe we've moved on from last season and we can put them to the sword. If we can put Man City to the sword in that 4th round, get through to the 5th round of the League Cup, then maybe we can start thinking about a potential trip to Wembley, because City will be out the way. But there are still lots of big clubs in there. Meanwhile, a lot of talk has been coming up, certainly in that fan forum, and Son Heung-min, in this interview I'm going to tell you about, has also been talking about fixture congestion. And as a result of the players being overworked, Tottenham are not going to go on a tour next summer, or what's described by Ali Gold, the brilliant Ali Gold, as another money-spinning tour next summer amid player burnout fears. I think that's a good decision. So much football being played internationally and club-wise, and some of these players just need a break. I'll tell you who I think of. Obviously Sonny, because he does so much travelling for South Korea, but Christian Romero I don't think has had a break for so long. Pleased that he didn't actually have to play last night, and we still got a win, because that'll make him hopefully rested and concentrated for the Old Trafford game on Sunday. But I think a good move by Spurs not to go on a tour next summer. Meanwhile, as I said at the top, Son Heung-min has given some quotes in an interview about a wide range of things. He was asked about whether winning the Europa League is a good goal for Tottenham. He says, yeah, it's a dream. There's no hiding this. That's what we work for. It's also understood that Tottenham do plan to trigger the 1-year option that they hold on Son Heung-min's deal, which will take his contract to summer 2026. He was asked about that. He said, we haven't talked about anything yet, meaning his contract. I'm fully focused on this year and just want to win something that everyone at the club deserves. In the future, you never know what will happen. I'll give everything for this club for sure. What do you think about Sonny's contract? Do you think it's likely that we'll try and sign him for another kind of longer term contract, maybe 3 years? He's 32 now, so we're talking about getting him towards his 35th birthday. Or do you reckon Sonny might have an eye on one more move, maybe to Saudi Arabia for a lot of money, or the MLS? Strikes me that he might like to live in America, maybe. Maybe somewhere like New York. He loves his fashion, doesn't he? But he'll still want to play on at the top level for a while yet. So maybe there's one more contract in him. I've always said this and I stick to it. Sign Sonny up on a 10-year deal, including being an ambassador or a coach or whatever he wants to do after the end of his career. He's the face of the club, and just don't let him go. I just think he's such a brilliant servant to this football club. Sonny was also then asked about Dejan Kulusevski's season so far. He said this: at the moment, he's having a great season. One thing that not everybody is talking about is that Decky's work rate is unbelievable. He's everywhere on the pitch. I think people don't always see that, but he works really hard, that I think so hard that when I see all the data, and sometimes even I get shocked. So it feels like he never stops running. I think players all appreciate what he does, and with the ball, with the quality that he has, there is no doubt that every position he can play in. I think as a manager, you can put him anywhere and he'll do the right thing for what he's asked to do. So yeah, there's no doubt about what he does, and he's doing amazingly at the moment. Completely agree. This has been Kulusevski's best start to a season by far. I really love him in that 8/10 role alongside Maddison. I love the extra creativity we've got there. And even though I'm not sure that's exactly what Ange will play against United at Old Trafford, although I do hope he does. He did against Arsenal, of course. I just think it's brought Tottenham's play this season to an extra level, and Kulusevski's play as well. But also, of course, completely agree with what Sonny's saying there. An absolute workhorse, never stops, an elite presser, and alongside Dominic Solanke and Brennan Johnson, who are both really excellent pressers, it's improved our play this season for sure, and I think allowed us to pressurize the opposition so that more often they're having to go long, and we're sweeping up those balls with Van der Ven and Romero and able to keep pressure on the opposition in the final third. Sonny was then asked about the young talent Mikey Moore, who of course got some minutes last night and looked incredibly well balanced in the few little opportunities he had on the ball. Sonny said this, he said, he's showing good personality and working hard, which is very important to me. When you see the young players who are working hard in the first team, you just want to help. You want to help him. You know that as well when I was young, and now he's coaching at Manchester United. Ruud van Nistelrooy was helping me a lot in my time at Hamburg. Now I want to be that guy as well. Just having Mikey around me and just talking about things because we're playing in a similar position. So if I can help him a little bit with advice, then I'm always open to it. Mikey is also coming to me most of the times and asking questions, which is very fun. I enjoy talking to him. He's a fantastic boy, and I'm definitely sure that he can be a fantastic player. There's no doubt because he has such amazing quality. As we always say about young players, let's not put too much pressure on his shoulders. Let's enjoy how he develops and how he improves every single day and every single season. And as a fan, as supporters, we should just enjoy watching him, and I think he will be one of the top players. Now look, there is obviously a possibility that Ange could throw Mikey Moore in to start at Old Trafford if Sonny is indeed injured from last night's tightness. Would you do that? Would you take a risk on Mikey Moore in such a big game? Or would you go for probably what would be deemed as the hierarchical safe option and put Timo Werner in there? Let me know in the comments. I have a feeling that a lot of you will feel quite strongly about that. Sonny was then asked, as I mentioned, about fixture congestion. He said, don't get me wrong, we love playing football, that's clear. It's not only just about the games though, it's the travelling and the preparation. It's a lot of work. For example, Man City's games this week, they played Sunday and Tuesday. That's not even flexible. This is what we're talking about, and it's normal that people get injured and there's a high risk of injury. It's not okay. Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing you can say that is a positive about fixture congestion. Yeah, we all love watching the games, of course we do, but we want to be watching the games with the best players playing in their best levels, at their best levels, and we're not seeing nearly enough of that, and the injuries are starting to happen. You saw it with Rodri. It's very unfortunate for them, and I fear it will enable Arsenal to maybe win the Premier League, and let's face it, none of us wanted that. Sonny was then asked about Rodrigo Bentancur, who, as we know, is facing a possible FA ban for those comments that he made about East Asian people in the summer. Sonny said this, he says, I love Rodrigo, I love him. We've had a lot of good memories. He knew what he did and he apologised straight afterwards. I was on holiday, I didn't even know what had happened. He sent me a long text and you could tell it was from his heart. He then saw me at training and he was almost crying. He felt really sorry. We're all human and we make mistakes. I love Rodrigo and we move on together as brothers. We just have to wait for the FA's process, and that's all I can say. Look, that's lovely of Sonny to be so supportive of his teammate, but look, Rodrigo Bentancur made a mistake. It doesn't matter that Sonny is saying what a lovely guy he is, really. It's good for the morale of the team, of course it is, but in terms of people and footballers in this instant learning from their mistakes and not being kind of cliche racist, I don't think it matters, and Bentancur will get a ban. For me, I think maybe 3 or 4 games should be the maximum, but it is being rumoured that he could get anything from 6 to 12 games, which I think would be it would be too much. Personally, I think I'm basing that on what other people who have done similar things, other Premier League players who've done similar things, the bans that they've got. I'm not saying that it should be a small ban because it wasn't racist enough. That's not what I mean at all. But based on comparative bans for other players. But let's see what happens. Ange Postecoglou has announced this week that Tottenham have made changes in both the sports science department and the medical departments as part of an effort to limit the number of injuries sustained by the players. And let's hope that that really can have a benefit to us this season, because with the amount of pressing that our players are doing, and also, like as we saw with Sonny getting a tight hamstring, it looks like yesterday, we need them to be at their best, by which I mean we need the medical department to be at their best to keep the players in tip-top shape. Okay, guys, before I bring you some of the more wide-ranging Premier League transfer news and other news, please do press that like button if you haven't already. Go to the little picture in the bottom right-hand corner, press that and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber for daily Tottenham Hotspur news and Premier League transfer news. And also, go to either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Type in the Spurred On podcast, and you can listen to these daily episodes when you're out and about running or driving or wherever. Let's start at Manchester United then. They remain interested in Everton's Jared Branthwaite and will make another attempt to sign the 22-year-old England cap defender in 2025, so either in January or next summer. Apparently, reports coming out this week, though, that Erik ten Hag is on borrowed time at Manchester United, who are, again, actively looking at potential replacements to bring in. And I think, really, the game at Old Trafford against Spurs will be a big one for him. If Tottenham could get a victory there, you'd have to say that Ten Hag would be under severe pressure. And one of the names that Man United are apparently looking at is Eddie Howe at Newcastle. They would be interested potentially in taking Eddie Howe. That makes sense, of course, because they stole Dan Ashworth, the sporting director, didn't they? United apparently remain interested in signing the 21-year-old Slovenian forward Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. United still looking for another striker, potentially to supplement Rasmus Højlund. Over to Man City now. Following Rodri's injury, Man City are looking to sign a defensive midfielder and have put together a 4-man shortlist, which includes Real Sociedad's Spanish midfielder who Liverpool are after, Martin Zubimendi, Nicola Barella of Inter Milan in Italy, Atalan's Brazilian international Ederson, who Tottenham have on their list and have done for a while, and Crystal Palace's young England player Adam Wharton. Be interesting to see who Manchester City try to go for there. Liverpool are ready to move for Real Madrid and Brazil winger Rodrigo. That's if Mo Salah leaves Anfield at the end of the season. His contract is, of course, up. They're also apparently interested in making moves for Leverkusen's Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, and Ezequiel Palacios. Leverkusen braced for interest from Liverpool for those in January, but more likely next summer. According to some reports, Crystal Palace and England defender Mark Gahey is far more interested in potentially signing for Liverpool and not long-term admirers Newcastle. Meanwhile, Liverpool and England defender Joe Gomez is wanted by Aston Villa and Newcastle. Let's go across the Stanley Park to Everton. Their prospective new owner, Dan Friedkin, has identified a couple of potential candidates to replace Sean Dyche, who it seems like is under a lot of pressure. Obviously, they've had a bad start to the season. They've only got 1 point, I believe, in their first 5 games. They're out of the Carabao Cup. And it looks like they have new owners. So it's the Friedkin Group who are going to be coming in once all that is ratified. And the names that they are potentially looking at to maybe replace Sean Dyche are Gareth Southgate and Sarri Ball himself, Maurizio Sarri, the former Chelsea manager. Not sure either of those names really excite me if I was an Everton fan. Everton going to be in an absolute relegation relegation scrap. And I think Sean Dyche actually is probably the right manager to have. Like, you can have a bad start, but I'm not sure necessarily that sacking Sean Dyche is the answer. I don't know, I might be wrong. Over to Chelsea, they apparently made numerous approaches to AC Milan in the summer about their French goalkeeper Mike Maignan, but they were put off by the Serie A side valuation of 80 million euros, which is about 66 million quid. I'd say Maignan is a great shot stopper, but in that game in the Champions League last week, against Liverpool, he really showed his almost Guillermo Vicario disinterest in trying to come and claim crosses in his 6-yard box. Although I will say I think Vicario is starting to get on the front foot and trying to really come and improve that over the last few games. Still at Chelsea, they're targeting Leipzig's French centre-back Castello Luqueba. He's only 21 as they aim to sign all of the world's best young players. Over to Aston Villa, Barcelona's sporting director Deco, former Chelsea player, he is looking at a potential move for Barca for Villa and Colombia striker John Duran, who cannot stop scoring off the bench. Over to Nottingham Forest, a bit of Forest news. Real Madrid apparently monitoring their defender Murillo, who has been on Spurs' list for a while as well, but they face competition from Barcelona and Bayern Munich for the Brazilian player. He's an exciting player, Murillo. I really like the look of him. He's only 22 years old as well. It looks like Tottenham might miss their chance to get him in as their third or fourth place centre-back, if clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona and Bayern Munich are interested in him. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest, the latest club to express an interest in 20-year-old Luca Koleosho, the Burnley winger. Actually, although we got Wilson Odobert from Burnley, it was Koleosho that I really noticed last season when I saw him play. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets his move back into the Premier League. Over to South London now. Arsenal apparently interested in Serbia striker Dusan Vlahovic from Juventus. They might look to sign him next summer. Real Madrid hold an interest in William Saliba, but Arsenal have no interest in negotiating with them. And then, as I mentioned right at the top, Tottenham, as well as Newcastle and Manchester United, are among the clubs still vying for Angel Gomez, who is at Lille now. The England international's contract runs out next summer. But will he be interested in a move to Spurs, or will a move back to Manchester United tickle his fancy? The only thing I worry about with Gomez is just how small he is, and I don't just mean in height, just his stature is so thin. But I do like how he takes the ball on the half turn in that number 6 role, and as we know, Ange Postecoglou loves his players to be able to do that. Final bit of news, Brentford and Fulham are interested in trying to get Callum Wilson out of Newcastle this January. Wilson is now 32 years old and may be looking for one move to get some regular Premier League football. You can't doubt that Callum Wilson is a good finisher, but he does get injured an awful lot of the time. Okay, guys, that has been today's daily Premier League transfer news. Thank you so much for watching. Do press that like button. Do press that subscribe button. And please do become a member. Only £1 a month really helps me make this daily content for you. All the details in the description box below. Have a great weekend as Tottenham go to Old Trafford. Let's hope we can get a huge statement win there for Big Ange and really look forward to the rest of this season with genuine excitement. Come on, you Spurs.